Episode 32, Flattery Fails. Not treating him as a man. The air fell into a deathly silence. After a long while, Ningxi struggled to swallow her saliva and shifted the topic awkwardly. Haha. Boss, your marksmanship is amazing. Incredible. It's just a vase, it must have been expensive, right? Lu Tingxiao's gaze remained cold. You don't have to say if you don't want to. Ningxi drooped her head despondently, but with that expression of, confess or we're done, you don't seem sincere at all. Apart from confessing, did she have any other options? Sighing, Ningxi had to explain the whole situation. I told you before about the issue with the props causing me to accidentally injure Ningxuelo. Now, the prop master claims I bribed him to tamper with the props. If he insists on this, not only will my career be ruined, but I'll also end up in prison. Lu Tingxiao stared at her steadily. So? Coughing lightly, Ningxi mumbled, so, I went to force that guy to tell the truth. Looking at her indifferent attitude, storm clouds seemed to gather in Lu Tingxiao's expression. Ningxi, do you know how dangerous your actions were? You're just a girl. I know. But I had no choice, right? Don't you know what kind of person Jiong Chong is? Dealing with that kind of person requires this kind of simple and crude method. Ningxi explained. I told you, if you need help, you can come to me. Why did you choose this dangerous way instead of asking for my help? Disappointment weighed heavily in Lu Tingxiao's eyes. That look made her heart ache inexplicably. This was the first time Lu Tingxiao had been so angry with her. Anxiously, Ningxi said, no, it's not like that. In the end, she sighed with a headache, I'm just used to it. Used to solving everything by herself, used to not relying on anyone. The two fell into silence again. Oh, by the way, how did you know I had a gun on me? Ningxi suddenly remembered this and asked with a puzzled expression. Smell, Lu Tingxiao replied coldly. Really? Like the smell of gunpowder? I didn't expect boss to have such a keen sense of smell, he. Ningxi chuckled. Lu Tingxiao's face remained as icy as ever, maintaining the demeanor of a millennium-old ice cube. Flattery failed. Ningxi helplessly said, Lu Tingxiao, it's not that I didn't want to talk to you. It's just that for such trivial matters, do I really need you to take action? Isn't it like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut? But there's one thing I really need your help with now. You have to help me. If you don't help me, I'll definitely cling to you until the end. This time, although Lu Tingxiao still had a cold expression, he finally looked at her seriously. Speak. Ningxi breathed a sigh of relief and quickly explained, here's the thing. Even though I got Jiong Chong's confession and the emails and remittance details from the other party, these pieces of evidence can only clear my suspicion. They can't reveal the mastermind behind the scenes. I can't let the culprit go free so easily. I've suffered so much loss. So, I was wondering if there's any way to crack the account information and IP address of the person behind this. Our little darling is so young and talented, it must be because of your excellent genes, boss. So, you must be even more powerful in this regard. You must have a way, right? Right. Ningxi clasped her hands together, her face filled with expectation, sparkling eyes. On one hand, she wanted to please Lu Tingxiao, and on the other hand, she genuinely needed his help. Lu Tingxiao remained silent for 3 seconds before finally speaking, yes. Really? You really have a way? Ningxi excitedly almost jumped up. How long will it take? 1. Lu Tingxiao initially wanted to say 1 hour, but he changed his mind at the last moment. 1 night. So fast. That's great. Ningxi was overjoyed and quickly took out the notebook from her bag. This is the laptop I got from Jiong Chong. Do you need anything else? I'll help you prepare. Not necessary, Lu Tingxiao said as he stood up and walked towards the stairs. Ningxi immediately followed him. In the study, Ningxi keenly ran over to help Lu Tingxiao pull out a chair. She then placed the notebook on the desk in front of him and hurriedly fetched a glass of water for him. Lu Tingxiao glanced at her and sat down. Lu Tingxiao took out his own laptop, connected the 2 devices with a data cable, glanced over the evidence Ningxi provided, opened some unknown software, and began entering a series of complex codes into the on-screen boxes. Ningxi peered closely at the desk, but she couldn't understand anything. She looked utterly confused, both amazed and puzzled. As Lu Tingxiao was working, he suddenly felt a gentle breath near his ear. His fingers paused, and his brow furrowed. What's wrong? Is there a problem? Ningxi asked nervously. Lu Tingxiao's tone was slightly cold, stay away from me. Being so close was affecting his concentration. Oh. Ningxi immediately moved to the farthest corner of the room and sat on the sofa with a dejected expression. Seeing the pitiful look on the girl's face, Lu Tingxiao almost wanted to comfort her, but he resisted the urge. Ningxi held a pillow in her arms, quietly watching Lu Tingxiao's serious profile as he worked. She couldn't help but marvel. They said men were most handsome when they were serious, and it seemed to be true. For a while, the only sound in the study was the quiet tapping of the keyboard. Alone in her thoughts, Ningxi couldn't resist breaking the silence. Lu Tingxiao, can I ask you a question? Ask. Why don't you ask me? Why don't you ask about the gun? Don't you think many things about me are different from what you imagined? Don't you find me scary? Ningxi tightened her clenched fists. No. Lu Tingxiao's voice was calm. Oh. Ningxi's heart felt a little relieved. She finally plucked up the courage to ask again. Lu Tingxiao, can I ask you a question? Ask. Do you not wonder about the gun? Don't you find many things about me different from what you imagined? Don't you find me scary? No. Lu Tingxiao replied. Oh. Even though Lu Tingxiao didn't ask, Ningxi still felt guilty. He had always treated her as a friend, helping her without reservation, yet she had always hidden things from him. So, even though Lu Tingxiao didn't inquire, Ningxi still took the initiative to speak. You know, the security in M country isn't very good, and owning a gun there is legal. I learned to use a gun when I was there. But in China, this gun did come through unofficial channels. I don't know the details, a friend gave it to me. He taught me to use it before. I only use it for self-defense when absolutely necessary. I've used it once since I returned to China. Lu Tingxiao stopped his hand movements. Who is this friend of yours? Upon hearing this question, Ningxi's expression became visibly awkward. She scratched her head and said, it's the guy I mentioned before, the ex-boyfriend I dated for a day. That guy again. Since they only dated for a day, why did they have so many connections? Lu Tingxiao's expression turned even colder. Do you know that the transportation channels for these kinds of guns are monopolized within 3 organizations? Regardless of which organization your friend belongs to, they are a key target for suppression. Including that diamond, there's a high chance it's not from a legitimate source. Ningxi lowered her head and mumbled, I know. You know? Lu Tingxiao's face became even more unpleasant. She knew and still associated with such a person? Knowing the details of the other person meant her situation was even more dangerous. Ningxi hastily explained, his background might be a bit dangerous. I'm sorry, but I can't explain his specific identity to you. But he won't harm me. I can guarantee that. As soon as she finished speaking, she noticed Lu Tingxiao's expression had become extremely grim. At this moment, Ningxi felt like a mischievous child caught doing something wrong by a parent. Nervously, she fidgeted with her fingers and dared not make a sound. The aura of the great devil when angry was too frightening. After a good while, Lu Tingxiao finally spoke, give me the gun. Ningxi's defense of that man almost destroyed his sanity. Oh. Ningxi immediately obediently handed the gun over. What are you going to do? Confiscating it, Lu Tingxiao said coldly. Ningxi immediately threw herself over, wailing, ah. No. This is my talisman. I promise not to play with it casually. I won't let anyone find out. Lu Tingxiao gave her a disdainful look, opened a drawer, took out another gun, and handed it to her. Use this one in the future. Seeing the gun Lu Tingxiao gave her, Ningxi's eyes immediately lit up. This is... She couldn't tell the exact model, but she could tell it was extraordinary. Can I disassemble it and take a look? Ningxi asked cautiously. Lu Tingxiao nodded. Given permission, Ningxi immediately excitedly disassembled the gun and, after examining the internal structure, looked at it in disbelief. P226? I made some modifications, and its performance is safer. Lu Tingxiao's expression remained unfavorable. Because all the knowledge Ningxi had about these firearms, the methods of using them, and disassembling and assembling them were obviously taught by that man. Ningxi touched the gun in her hands affectionately and then glanced weakly at Lu Tingxiao. Having someone who knows about the 92F is already dangerous, but you could get a P226. It was said that the 92F was the best gun in the world, and the P226 was considered a masterpiece. It was just that due to its high price, it didn't have the same popularity as the 92F. Lu Tingxiao's face turned cold at her words. Do you think I'm dangerous? Ningxi shook her head vigorously like a rattle drum. No. How could that be? Boss, you're the best. Simply my little angel. Are you tired? Is your shoulder sore? Let me give you a massage. Come on, come on. You can do it. Without saying anything more, she rushed behind him and energetically started massaging his shoulders. Listening to the girl's sweet and gentle voice, even though he knew she was deliberately trying to please him, Lu Tingxiao's stormy expression immediately eased. However, his expression soon became tense again. The girl's flexible little hands skillfully kneaded his shoulders, and she also massaged his neck and temples expertly. The warm touch and the perfect amount of pressure were comfortable and deadly. That's enough. Lu Tingxiao had to stop her to prevent things from getting out of control. Oh. Ningxi didn't think much about it and continued studying the gun. Then, she looked at Lu Tingxiao uncertainly and asked, "Are you really giving me this gun?" Lu Tingxiao replied, "Consider it your birthday gift." This gift was indeed quite special. Ningxi gently touched the gun and said, "Thank you. I really like it." The gun did have better safety features, and it was more convenient to use with its discreet appearance. As Ningxi looked at it, her eyes couldn't help but well up with tears. Lu Tingxiao, thank you. No one has ever been so good to me. Lu Tingxiao's heart fluttered, and he was about to speak when Ningxi emotionally added, "It feels like having a father." This evaluation was quite high and made him somewhat helpless. "It's already late. You must be hungry. I'll make you a late-night snack," Ningxi said enthusiastically as she ran out. Lu Tingxiao, not showing any emotion, disassembled the gun. As he expected, the serial number had been erased. However, the range of potential identities had been narrowed down significantly. 10 minutes later, Ningxi came back with a bowl of steaming hot food. "Lu Tingxiao, do you like dumplings? I saw there were some left from the kitchen's second batch in the fridge, so I made a few for you. Put it there." "Okay." Seeing Lu Tingxiao busy, Ningxi felt a bit guilty. She picked up a bowl and said, "I'll feed you, alright?" Lu Tingxiao furrowed his brow slightly. He had intended to refuse, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. "I'll feed you. I'll feed you. You can continue with your work." Ningxi quickly picked up a dumpling, blew on it to cool it down, and then brought it to his mouth. Lu Tingxiao stared at the computer screen with a solemn expression, opened his mouth without saying a word, and ate the dumpling Ningxi fed him. Why didn't he realize how delicious it was the last time he ate? Ningxi continued to feed him one dumpling after another until the bowl was empty. "Go and rest. I'm almost done here." Lu Tingxiao returned the computer to Zhang Chong and then focused on his own work. "Okay." Ningxi sat on the sofa in the corner with her laptop. Feeling bored, she opened Zhang Chong's computer to see if she could find any other clues. Unexpectedly, she did find something. In the D drive, there was a folder named Important Confidential, and inside were several video files. Could that guy have hidden some evidence without telling her? While wondering, Ningxi clicked on one of the videos. As soon as she opened it, Ningxi felt that something was not right. But by the time she realized it, it was too late. The next second, the computer emitted a clear moaning sound, making the quiet study exceptionally vivid. Ningxi almost wanted to dig a hole and bury herself. Due to her panic, she had tried several times but failed to turn off the video. In the end, it was Lu Tingxiao who couldn't stand it anymore and walked over to help her turn it off. Ningxi threw the computer away and complained, "There's a folder named Important Confidential on his computer, and I thought it contained some evidence. Damn it. I should have known better." In a helpless tone, Lu Tingxiao pinched the bridge of his nose and sighed, "It's done. Come and take a look." Originally, he had mentioned taking a whole night to keep her around for a longer time. However, if she continued to be like this, who knew what would happen? Upon hearing this, Ningxi immediately threw all the awkwardness out of her mind. "Is it done? All of it?" Lu Tingxiao nodded, indicating for her to come and take a look. Ningxi was initially worried that she wouldn't understand, but she found that Lu Tingxiao didn't show her the complex process. Instead, he directly presented the results to her. The IP address of the email came from the Jiong Dijin apartment where Ning Xuelua lived, and the anonymous account's owner abroad was Cui Kaijing, Ning Xuelua's assistant. I thought this kind of high-tech stuff only existed on TV. Especially anonymous accounts, they are highly secure, nearly impossible to crack without infiltrating a bank system. Ningxi was so excited that she couldn't speak for a long time. In the end, she hugged Lu Tingxiao tightly. "Boss, you're amazing." At this moment, Lu Tingxiao realized that he had to seriously face a problem. Now, Ningxi indeed completely trusted him, but she had trusted him too much. She had even forgotten his identity as a man. In short, she treated him as a good mentor, benefactor, and even as a father, but she didn't treat him as a man. This was truly a headache-inducing problem. However, it was also a good sign. The moment he had been waiting for was finally approaching. How do you plan to handle this evidence? Lu Tingxiao asked after adjusting his mood. Let's not rush to publicize it. Let Ning Xuelua continue to make a fuss. The bigger the fuss she makes now, the harder she'll fall later. I am preparing. Preparing for what? Well, Lu Tingxiao, can you support me for a moment? Why do I suddenly feel like the ground is shaking? Shaking? Before the word shaking even fell, Ningxi's eyes went black, and she fell to the ground with a thud. Ningxi. Lu Tingxiao's face changed abruptly as he quickly helped her up. Her soft body in his arms felt like a burning fireball. He touched her forehead and found it burning hot. He had sensed something earlier, but he had thought the warmth was just his psychological effect. He didn't expect that she was actually sick. Lu Tingxiao picked her up and quickly ran downstairs. Juanshu, get the car ready. The old housekeeper was also surprised. What happened to Miss Ningxi? Don't know. Lu Tingxiao was so flustered that even his usual unchanging icy demeanor cracked. He didn't know. He didn't know if it was due to the remaining effects of the medicine she had taken before, or if she was simply running a fever, or if that Zhu Xiangqing guy had given her some other nonsense. At this moment, Lu Tingxiao was on the verge of being overwhelmed by self-blame. He should have taken her to the hospital for a checkup immediately. Instead, he had not only delayed it but also kept her busy for so long. How much pressure must she have been enduring until now? Master, don't be too anxious. Miss Ningxi seems to have only caught a fever. Why don't we call the family doctor over to take a look? Lu Tingxiao couldn't listen to anything at the moment. The driver had just brought the car over, and he immediately carried Ningxi into it. To the hospital. After giving instructions, he turned to the housekeeper outside the car, notified Qin Mufeng to come over. Yes. The housekeeper could only respond repeatedly. If he had any lingering doubts before, now, looking at the young master's behavior, he truly understood everything. This girl was probably going to be their future young mistress.